parents think the divorce with my cheating husband was my fault and stopped talking to me, but now they want to apologize because my ex is in the news for a heinous crime. This is pretty sensitive and I'm in a bit of a hurry, so please ignore any spelling mistakes I make. This is about my ex-husband, my family, and of course, me. Kevin, my ex-husband, 27, and I, the same age, got divorced 3 years ago. We met in college, got married right after graduation, and ended things after a year and a half of marriage. My parents adored him and immediately assumed it must have been my fault. Actually, saying they adored him is an understatement. They were probably in love with him and treated him like their own son, in fact, even better than my brother. They loved him so much that they kept in touch with him even after our divorce. I'm the oldest of 3. I have a younger sister, 22, and a brother, 20, and they all cut me off immediately after I filed for divorce because they wanted me to sit down and work things out with Kevin. I wasn't willing to give him a chance, and I had my reasons. Despite being pregnant, I filed for divorce because I found out he'd been cheating on me with one of our college friends. He and his parents said that since I was in my second trimester when I found out, I should try to work things out with him, go to therapy, and save the marriage. I didn't care about any of that, though. He told me my parents wouldn't be happy, but I still filed for divorce because, for me, my dignity was more important than anything else. Of course, it hurt me a lot that everyone cut me off without a second thought, even my siblings, but there was nothing that could be done about it. For the past 3 years, after my daughter was born, I've barely had any contact with Kevin or anyone in the family. They still get together from time to time, though, and my friends tell me about it. They're the only support system I've had, and apart from the monthly child support, I don't get anything from them. No texts, no calls, nothing. It hurt at first, but now I'm used to it. I remember for sure that when I told my family I was filing for divorce from Kevin, and explained the reason, they tried to make me back down. When I refused to listen, my parents told me they were going to cut me off. They assumed Kevin must not have cheated and that it must all be my fault somehow. They thought I was crazy and they made my siblings cut me off too, because they didn't want to expose them to a lost cause like me. Added all of this so people know exactly how they treated me. Anyway, all that's in the past, and I gradually learned to live without them. Thankfully, I had my daughter, my job, and my friends, so I managed pretty well. Now, 3 years later, they've finally contacted me because they've found out how awful Kevin really is. I was surprised too, but I imagine it must be worse for them, because they've kept in touch with him all these years. Recently, he was in the local news because of a really awful incident. I don't want to go into much detail, but basically, he's in trouble because he tried to corner one of the interns working at his office, and made unwanted advances. Apparently, this had been going on for almost 2 months and she was uncomfortable with it. So she decided to record the incident and then reported it directly to the police. I've seen some snippets of the video, and it's really bad. It disgusts me that I had anything to do with this man in the past. The worst part is that this girl, the intern, is barely 18. This whole thing is really disturbing. For the past few days, I've been getting messages of comfort from practically everyone I know, which is weird because I have nothing to do with him. But I appreciate the concern. The weirdest thing that happened was that a couple of days ago, right after the news broke, my parents and my siblings called me crying, asking for my forgiveness. They told me they had no idea what kind of person Kevin was. They started apologizing and told me they'd made a huge mistake. They wanted me to forgive them and patch things up with them, but I just listened and told them there was no chance of that happening. Then, I hung up. I mentioned this to a cousin and they told me that apparently, they're being shamed by the whole family. Everyone is criticizing them for supporting a creep like my ex and keeping him in the family. So that's the rundown of the last few years with my family. And even though my parents are going through a bad time now because they're stuck with my ex's reputation, I don't feel bad. I'm glad they're facing consequences for what they did and I'm far from wanting to forgive them. It's very easy to abandon me when they preferred my ex and now I'm not going to make it so easy for them to get their daughter back. Well, I'm not going to let them get their daughter back, meaning me, because I'm not going to give them my forgiveness. Before continuing, don't forget to subscribe. New stories every day. Update 1. I was surprised that so many people are happy my parents are getting their karma. I thought I'd be the only one feeling this way, but lots of people share these sentiments. I guess people hate horrible people and a good revenge story cheers them up. I haven't changed my mind about forgiving them, so you guys who said to stand my ground can rest easy. That's what I plan to do. The past few days have been really confusing and mentally exhausting for me because even though I have nothing to do with Kevin right now, fact is we were together for a long time and this man kind of grosses me out. Not only were we together, we have a daughter together. No matter how much I wish it, I can't change that. I don't know why, but it's really disturbing to think that if I hadn't found out about his infidelity, we'd still be together. In fact, I don't even know how many other women he cheated on me with, or how many women he's made feel uncomfortable and scared. I highly doubt this is his first time. Even now, lots of new details about him are coming out. Lots of women are posting about him, and it's been really stressful for me. I've been contacted multiple times by the local news for my comments, and random people have been reaching out, either to tell me I'm strong or to tell me I'm a horrible person. I don't get why, and I've never gone through something like this before, so naturally, I'm feeling pretty stressed. Fact is, none of this is my fault. I couldn't have known what kind of person he really was, and if I had, I would never have gotten together with him. I'm glad my parents are in this situation, but they're indirectly dragging me into it. It's really frustrating because I don't understand how I'm supposed to be held accountable for my ex-husband's decisions. We haven't been together for the past 3 years, I haven't even spoken to him, and yet somehow, people have come to the conclusion that I need to be approached about this. My sympathies to all the people who've had to face any kind of weird behavior from him, but I am not responsible for that. I also don't want to talk about him with anyone, nor do I want to hear about him because that was a very traumatic period of my life, and I just want to forget it and move on. I don't think I'm a bad person for wanting that, and even if I am, I don't care. Update 2. It's been over a week since my parents last tried to contact me, and after that, I blocked them. I'd already blocked them before, but they used a new number to reach me. This time they decided to email me, and they sent it to my work address, since they know I check that email more often. It was the same old song and dance. They said they didn't know, that they wouldn't have behaved that way if they had known, that they wanted to talk to me, and that they wanted me to forgive them, blah blah blah. In this email they even said that if not for them, I should at least think about the fact that my daughter deserves to have her grandparents in her life, which I found a bit annoying because she's 3, and hasn't met them so far, and they seemed perfectly fine with it. I don't think it's a necessity that she can't handle. I think she'll be fine without them, seeing as they never cared about her before this. Honestly, all the emotional and sentimental drama they put into the email really didn't make any difference to me. In fact, it annoyed me a lot, to be honest, because every time I think about it, it only reminds me of the fact that something so horrible had to happen for my own family to realize that they should be on my side here, and not on his. I don't even know if I should think they also knew about his predatory behavior, just that since it wasn't public, it didn't bother them. I don't get it. Even back then, when I was getting divorced, they should have supported me without question. Now they say we're family, but back then, that wasn't the case, or it didn't have the weight they want to give it now. They knew for sure he'd been cheating on me while I was pregnant with his baby, because they never argued about that. So how was that not enough for them to take my side on this? Everyone wanted me to forgive him and keep pretending everything was okay. It really wasn't, and when I refused to play by their rules, I suddenly became the villain in a lost cause. No one cared about me for the next 3 years until now. So yeah, I think they should keep choosing to be on Kevin's side. Let's see where that takes them now because, frankly, I have no intention of forgiving them anytime soon. They really hurt me. They broke me irreversibly, and that cannot be fixed. I left Kevin, no matter how much I loved him, because I knew what he had done couldn't be fixed. Now it's the same with my family. They can send me all the emails they want, but it's not going to make any difference. I've already made my decision. Update 3. It's been 3 weeks since my last update, and after that email, I blocked them. But that didn't stop them. They kept creating new accounts and sending me emails asking for forgiveness, and it was the same thing over and over again. At one point, I got really frustrated and I thought I'd just reach out to let them know this wasn't going to work. But then, that would be playing their game. Talking to them and communicating with them, wasn't that exactly what they wanted? So I decided not to. This went on for a couple of days, almost 2 weeks, but since last week, I haven't heard from them. I thought this was over, but now it's my siblings who are trying hard to get in touch with me. I can totally understand why they're so desperate for my forgiveness because they want to show everyone that I've forgiven them, and that everything's okay in our family. They don't want to be seen as the villains. I think I mentioned earlier that the entire family is against them right now. No one wants to talk to them, and they've practically been isolated by everyone. I don't think they're enjoying that very much. They're already being shunned by people when they didn't feel the need to be nice to me while I was going through the divorce. But even then, at least the family kept in touch with them out of obligation. Now, all of that has gone out the window, and they've been ostracized by everyone for how they treated me in the past. I think they are now facing the consequences of their own actions, but I imagine they can't stand it. Anyway, my siblings contacted me. They messaged me from a new number, saying they were very sorry about everything that happened. But I had to know that they hadn't actually wanted me alienated from the family like this. Apparently, according to what they say in the message, they fought our parents a lot, but it didn't help because our parents had been very strict about what they wanted. They didn't think they could fight against them because, back then, both of them were financially dependent on them. My brother, in fact, still is. They claim they were very young, so they really had no other option but to do what our parents asked. So, if not them, I should at least consider forgiving my siblings because they really didn't have any other options. At least that's what they think, but I disagree with that. Honestly, I think they could have fought harder for me, because I remember that growing up, being the oldest, I'd always take their side, regardless of whether I was getting along with our parents or not. I always got along with them and I thought they loved me. So it was a huge betrayal for me when, during the divorce, they decided to side with our parents instead of me. And the fact that they were financially dependent on them doesn't mean much to me. It might sound dumb, but I don't care, because if they really wanted to talk to me, comfort me, they could have reached out later, when things had calmed down a bit. But for 3 years, they didn't bother contacting me, and it's not like our parents would have found out. They're not tech geniuses. My siblings could have easily hidden it from them and spoken to me. It was a choice, a conscious choice, that they made by not doing any of this. And now, they want to act like they were always on my side, but just couldn't show it because of our parents. I don't buy it. I think they just want to be seen as the good guys now, just like our parents, so there's no real difference between any of them. Anyway, they reached out recently, and I didn't reply. I didn't have anything to say to them, to be very honest. What could I even say after 3 years? It's not like I haven't imagined this in my head. I have, and I've always had very mean things to say to them. But now, since things have materialized, I don't feel like I should respond to them or engage with them at all because I know there's no point. What I've been through for the past 3 years and during the divorce, no one else knows because no one bothered to find out. And especially when it comes to my siblings, it hurt me a lot, even more so than when my parents disowned me. And that apology is too late for me, and it's too little for me to actually forgive them. It's too little to even consider forgiving them and putting it all behind us. Plus, I've already gotten used to life without these people, and I don't want to go back to being the person I was before. I don't think I can, realistically speaking, because I've been through all of this by myself, with the emotional support of only my friends and no one else. So now, I think it'll be impossible for me to be the same person they knew before. I'm not that person anymore, and because of that, I can't forgive them. None of them, to be honest. Not just my siblings. That's how it is. Update 4. It's been a couple of days since my last update. When my siblings contacted me, I didn't reply, and after that, no one else messaged me or tried to contact me for a couple of days. I've been trying to get my life together since my mental health, in the past few weeks, has been pretty bad. Ever since Kevin was in the news, I've been feeling very uneasy all the time, But a couple of days ago I made the active decision to not think about these things anymore because what do they have to do with me? With that in mind, I decided to start planning a trip, but of course, my parents contacted me right when I'd already decided to go. They sent me another email, and this time, I learned something new. Now everything makes even more sense. Apparently, my sister is engaged. She's been with her boyfriend for the past 2 years. They're doing great, and he recently proposed. They were about to announce it on social media, but then the news about Kevin came out, and that messed everything up. In fact, because her fiancé's family knows that my family was in touch with Kevin, they were skeptical about going ahead with the wedding. But thankfully, my sister's fiancé loves her enough to convince his parents otherwise, so they're definitely getting married. The problem is that because the entire family has turned against my parents and siblings, they're in a difficult situation. If they don't fix things quickly, probably no one will show up to the event. They'd even planned to throw an engagement party next month, but now that's being questioned as well, because like I said, no one in the family wants to talk to them. The only way to fix this would be to show people that I've forgiven them, and who knows, maybe people will follow my lead and start talking to them again. After all, what bothers most people is how my family abandoned me when I needed them the most. They have a valid point. I could definitely solve this problem for them, or at least try to, because I know that if I say so, my relatives might consider contacting my family. They'd be cold, but at least there would be some kind of contact, and they wouldn't completely isolate my family like they have been so far. But that would only be if I say something to indicate that I've decided to forgive my parents and siblings, and I'm trying to repair my relationship with them, which I'm not trying to do at all. So, I don't feel the need to lie about it either, not even for the sake of their wedding or their happiness. I think right now, my mental health is more important to me. In the past few weeks, everything's been pretty bad for me, and I don't think interacting with my family is going to make things better. It's just going to keep reminding me of everything I've been trying to forget. So, tough luck, but I don't think I'm going to help them with this. After all, it's not my responsibility to make sure the rest of the family is present for my sister, and that she doesn't end up looking like a fool. I don't fit in with them, and I'm not going to bail them out either. And the fact that they've been contacting me for this reason, that my sister is getting married in a couple of months and wants the rest of the family to be present, so that no one asks her parents awkward questions, is even more insulting. I don't understand why they thought it would be a good idea to share this with me because it just makes me feel like they were reaching out to me for their own benefit and nothing else. Everything has to be about their own interests. Not even now could they apologize to me because they meant it. They weren't really sorry for everything that had happened. They were contacting me just because there was going to be a wedding in the family and they wanted everything to go well. It's so insulting to me thinking about it now. I can't even deal with it. Anyway, I already mentioned that I've made up my mind about this, and I'm not going to change my mind. I don't care about the wedding. I don't care about any of them, and I'm going ahead with my trip and I'm going to ignore them for the rest of their days. It's over. I don't consider them my family anymore. I have nothing to do with them, and I don't want to have anything to do with them in the future either. I guess it's more important to them to be considered good people by the rest of the family, rather than actually being good people. I know I'm writing this messily, but honestly, everything they've done so far has me really upset. As if I hadn't already been through enough, they feel the need to keep contacting me and keep bothering me regardless of how I feel, even though I've made it very clear that I don't want anything to do with them. It's as selfish as it can be. But, then again, that's how they really are, so I'm not surprised by this. Update 5. I just got back from my trip. I went on a weekend getaway to the beach with a bunch of my friends, and we had a great time. It was a good distraction from everything I've been going through, and they were really supportive while I shared what was going on, so that was really nice. And even though we had a good time, even that wasn't completely interruption-free because, the day before we had to come back, my nanny called me and told me my parents had come to visit. My nanny's been with me since my daughter was a baby, because obviously, being a single mom, it would be almost impossible to survive without her and without a family to help take care of her. Not just because I need to go out, but also because I have a job. Sometimes I need to leave for work stuff too, and I knew I couldn't always count on my friends to help me because they also have their jobs and lives. So, my nanny's practically been a part of my little family, and she knows all about my problems, including my relationship with my parents. Thankfully, that's why she was wise enough not to open the door when she realized it was my parents outside. She only called me after they left to let me know, and I was so glad she had the sense to handle the situation appropriately. She basically did exactly what I would have suggested without me having to tell her. And we also got lucky because my daughter kept quiet when her nanny asked her to, because otherwise, they would have given themselves away, and my parents would have known I was avoiding them. Anyway, this was the call I got the day before coming back home, and even though everything was fine, and no real damage was done because my daughter didn't end up meeting her grandparents, I made the decision to move. I don't know how they knew where I live, but I'm no longer interested in staying there. I've already started talking to my real estate agent, and I'm going to look for a place closer to my friends because, right now, I live in a pretty isolated neighborhood. Anyway, I'm glad I didn't have to interact with them directly because I don't think I would have wanted that. Going on this trip really gave me a lot of clarity. I realized I was giving them a lot of control over my life inadvertently, even though I didn't intend to. But, automatically, the only way to deal with this is to just not care. I don't have to read their emails, I don't have to think about them. I just don't have to do any of that. So that's what I'm going to implement in my life now. Update 6. I'd been talking to a lawyer recently, because I was planning on making a post talking about my ex and my parents' situation, but I wanted to be legally covered. I didn't want a defamation lawsuit or any nonsense that group of social misfits might try. I wanted to detach myself from the problem of my ex and my parents with a post on my social media explaining the whole thing, and I wanted it to be analyzed by a lawyer. The lawyer gave me the go-ahead and I posted it. Overall, it had a good reception, with people supporting me after telling my story with my ex and my parents. It was shorter than the posts here, so there would be less chance of problems. But it was still a good summary. And except for other social misfits who still decide to see me as the bad guy, the post was a success. Although I would like to believe that it was more than a success, because it has revealed some things. Someone, a supposed friend of my sister, commented that my ex tried something that he is accused of with my sister, and that my family covered it up. She said that hurt my sister, but she couldn't leave my family. My family talked to my ex and asked him to end it. I wouldn't think it could be someone just commenting for the sake of commenting, but my sister wrote to me to delete the comment at least. Actually, she wanted me to delete the entire post, but I told her no and she told me to at least delete the comment. I asked her if it was true because I needed to know, and she begged me to delete it. She hasn't confirmed it, but she hasn't denied it either, so I understand that the comment had a lot of truth to it. I haven't deleted it, and it will stay there. Now even more so the kind of parents they are, and with all the comments and likes it has received, it is one of the top comments. Update 7. It's been a few weeks since my last update, and now I'm posting this from my new house. It's in a better location, closer to my friends, and it's more convenient for my nanny, who I already mentioned is like family to me. It's pretty perfect for me because it's not that far from my workplace, and all in all, I think I got really lucky. I guess it was a great decision to move after all. Anyway, enough about me. My sister's wedding is completely off right now. We have a new comment from the person who shed a lot of light on the matter. She doesn't have a profile picture and it looks like a new account, so I don't know exactly who she is, but I don't rule out contacting her personally to find out more. For now, she has said that the fiancé found out about the whole thing and has decided to cancel the engagement, the relationship, everything. With this anonymous source, the fiancé has doubts that she did not accept my ex's advances. On the other hand, another source has confirmed to me that my parents have been receiving harassment from people for defending my ex. Both for what he did recently and for the infidelity situation. And my dad has a business, which is being visibly affected by all of this. No one wants to shop there knowing it's run by perverts cover-uppers. Those are the things I can tell you right now. Edit. I have written to this person and she has told me other things. Like the fact that the advances on my sister could have started when she was a minor, and if my math is correct, that was when I was still with him. Well, Much less am I going to delete the comments from my post now. Update 8. In this post I will not talk about myself, but about all the consequences of my family and my ex-husband, who have sunk together. Which I think is the way it should be. They were together to abandon me, and now I will watch them alone as they fall into the hell they created. For starters, my ex has been sentenced for harassment to 1 year in prison. I guess he's only been convicted of being with women of legal age because if not, the sentence is a bit embarrassing. He also had to pay a fine, but that's been it. I'm sorry that during this year he will not be able to pay child support, but when he gets out, it will be waiting for him. My parents have also fallen, but not in the same way. My father has had to close the family business, as there is only a sign on the door saying they have closed and thanking all their loyal customers. It has spray paint calling them cover-uppers. My mother didn't work, so that was my parents' source of income. And indirectly of my siblings, because my brother depended on them and my sister has probably started to do so now that she is no longer with her fiancé. I have not had any further information from our anonymous source. So, with no wedding for my parents to attend, and no need to keep up appearances, I feel calmer now. I haven't heard from them in a long time, so this could be the end of this problem.